Hey everyone, this is me, Lance Mexter, the Ended Viking. I'm so busy right now. I am currently running the Kickstarter project for Champions of Midgard 10th anniversary. I'm not here to do an ad or anything for that. That's a video for maybe next week or something. But if I don't make this video now, I'm going to forget about a bunch of stuff, and I don't want to forget about a bunch of stuff. So, as the title of this says, I just started a brand new campaign. My goal here is that I'm going to make one of these video blog type things to describe exactly what is going on with the campaign. And there is a cool little hook here. And I don't know, maybe at some point in the future, when I have more time and I can script these things out, maybe I will put some cool like little visuals of the miniatures and what have you, and describe the combats and whatever. But don't expect that. If I do it, I doubt I'll be able to stick to it. I just don't have time to do that stuff. This is more of just, like I said, it's mostly for me, and it's hopefully a few of you out there who enjoy hearing about D&D sessions and hearing about more specifically old school D&D sessions. This will be something that you will enjoy. So let's get a couple of things out of the way right away. It is the rule system we are using. We are using our own rule system. We wrote ED&D, which is our rule system. That stood for Enhanced. It has changed names a few times over the years. It became just known as Fantasy. It became known as Code U. But we reverted back to the classic ED&D name, and we made this when we were teenagers. We were all in the same high school together. Of the people that are in my gaming group, there's one relatively new person, but four of us were people that I went to high school with. One of them, there's six of us. One of them is a guy I met in college, and the other guys I met when I worked with him when I worked at US Bank 20 years ago. So the earliest person that I have in this situation, actually, no, it isn't 20 years ago. It is, let me just, it would be 26 years ago. So yeah, of the gaming group, there's one person that I met 26 years ago. There's one person that I met 33 years ago, 34 years ago. And then everybody else I met when I was like 10 or 11 years old. So 41, 42 years ago. I am blessed to have this gaming group. And I know it is very unique that we managed to stay together and play these games as long as we have. So anyway, my gaming group consists of myself, my friend Craig, my friend Jason, my friend Brad, my friend Joel, and my friend Trevor. So that's six. Me, and then five other guys. Craig's campaign ran for a little over 2 years. We wrapped it up about a month or so ago. And then I had a campaign that I had been writing. I had little tiny noodle ideas in my brain percolating. And I eventually I put a lot of those to paper, digital paper, so to speak. And then I started writing ideas, writing concepts, what have you. I am not a big structure DM. I tend to roll with the fly, and then I take notes after a session. If certain things happened and I think it would be really cool if this happened, that's a note that I make. I do not have a delineated timeline exactly. This is going to happen on this day, and so on and so forth. I've played in those campaigns. Craig's campaign was like that, and I enjoy those. I just don't have, I think, the capability to do that much preemptive work, preemptive decisions, if you will. So, very, very briefly, when I went into this campaign, I had a few very important ideas that I wanted to strike home. One, it was going to be a humans only campaign. I ran one of these many years ago. I'm guessing about 25 years or so ago. I enjoy the idea that the players are the humans, and then there are all these other fantastic races that have uh, these abilities that humans just don't get, and so they have kind of a leg up on humans. The idea behind that is that humans are the most populous, and they are inherently kind of more their survival or whatever. Like they it's the old, and this is a trope, but I mean it's the old premise of like dwarves and elves and what have you, gnomes and whatever. They tend to live longer and they don't multiply as much, if you will. Whereas like humans, they live shorter lives and there's a lot of them. So I went with that idea. And as a matter of fact, I made the elves a very evil, diabolical race, something that, and very powerful as well, like inherently powerful. Something that the players, if they run into one, they probably should run if they run into one elf, because the elf is probably going to kill them. The dwarves, I made them to be even more xenophobic than normal. That's again a trope, but it works well. They also are very, very powerful. And they have somehow, in this battle between the humans and the elves, they've managed to stay neutral. And they are just, because of their power, the elves can't really do anything to them. And because of their power, the humans are kind of reliant upon them. However, the dwarves are also reliant on the humans because they don't really have the ability to grow crops and like feed themselves. They are the industrialists of the world, and so there is this very this avenue of trade between humans and dwarves also trade with elves. So there's like kind of this they manage to kind of walk the line between those two warring factions. Um, I did go with kind of a classic idea where the world was once, from what anybody can remember, there's no like recorded history of it, but centuries ago, the world was very fruitful. All of the ancestries, races, whatever you want to call it, they worked together and they lived in relative harmony. But then there was a cataclysm. Just like I always love that word from reading the old Dragonlance novels. There was like what's called the shattering, and the world went through an upheaval. And it was long determined or thought of that the gods had died, and that was what was caused the shattering. Giant mountain-sized meteors plunged from the sky, earthquakes, blood rains. Just if you can think of whatever you would think of as far as like some sort of religious annihilation, that's what happened in the world. So thrust into this, then now, like after many many years of like the humans barely staying alive, the dwarves kind of like hunkering down and keeping themselves safe, and the elves kind of taking realizing that they needed to take advantage of the situation to they themselves stay alive. They became this kind of twisted, diabolical race. Hundreds of years ago in the game world, there arose a human that was able to perform miracles. It was considered that they were a deity that walked upon the earth. And sure enough, and now referenced only as the God King, he banded the humans together on one main island and then kept them safe. He alone had the power to fight the elves. Like elves are extremely powerful and they are immortal, and he was able to kill an elf, and so then he became one of like the arch rivals to the elves. They hate him, and he then was able to give up some of his divine essence to create archons that he then sent those archons to take over different islands. And then they work on taking those islands over, getting the natural resources, expanding the human race outside of their one main giant island where everything is protected. And this is where the players come in. Adventurers are in this town of Solus that is on this island, and there is a brand new Archon, uh, a a divine offspring of the God King by the name of Emmeline, and she is hiring adventurers to explore this island, find what dangers are there, if they to quench those dangers, and also if they find any other human settlements, to bring them into the fold. To bring them into the belief of the God King, and so they can be protected and they can expand and grow. Because of the interest in the adventurers they've been given by the powers that be. They have a contact, a magistrate by the name of Kylene. They've been hired and they've been given a boat with a small crew that will take them around the island if they want to travel, if they don't want to travel over land, but also if they ever want to leave the island and go somewhere else. The boat's large enough and big enough to travel in the oceans. Again, much of the world isn't mapped anymore. That nobody knows where anything is, and so this is my attempt at having a exploration game, but also it has elements of you know very much righteous versus the unrighteous. A very fabulous moment in the very first session, which I'll get to in a second here, was when they were talking about one of the we have a class, a character class in our role system called the Bishop, which is based on the old Wizardry game. And if you remember the bishops, they were able to cast both divine spells and arcane spells. So we have one of those in the game, and they went to go talk to some other, like another bishop, and they were talking about how they had to basically convert these people. There's all these people that are believing in blasphemous religions. The only one true religion is the God King. And they were talking about how these people either needed to be converted or they need to be shown the error of their ways. And Brad, our monk, the character is a monk, he said, first session there, are we the bad guys? And so we're kind of going with that. We're going with the, because of the fact that the elves and the world itself just wants to kill them, we are going with this idea that the players, the God King and the religion and the power of the God King keeps like the elves at bay. It keeps the horrors of the world at bay. But and they are good people, right? I mean, they are not like, it isn't like the old trope of like, oh, from the outside everything looks great, but on the inside they were all like secretly worshiping Asmodean or something. No, I mean, the God King is a good person. He elevated to divinity, which is one of the mysteries of the world. He elevated to that point to protect the people that he loved, and those people love other people, and those people love other people, and for the most part they are very, like, the idea behind the religion is forgiveness and patience and help those in need, and it isn't one of those things where it's like, the God King wills it as the Crusaders charge down the mountain and slay the villagers below because they just maybe perhaps don't worship the same God. But the God King does believe that that other people, that other religions could possibly try to undermine their power, and if they were able to undermine that would open them up to greater dangers. And so they're trying to protect themselves from basically being wiped out. Anyway, that's kind of the framework of the world. Hopefully I won't go through that every single time, and maybe I'll just say go back to the first one. You can find out exactly what the world is coming on. I should also mention that I'm doing kind of a West Marches thing here, where my son and his friends want to play D&D. They want me to run it, and I'm going to run them in the same exact world where they're going to do actions and go on quests and stuff like that. And if they complete those for my friends group, then it's quite possible that, like, oh, we heard about this great artifact that's over in this area, and then when they get there they'll notice it's gone because my son's group has gone there and claimed the artifact. And so I'm kind of like interested in seeing how those things are going to work. One second. Let me drink. All right. So first session, we had character creation. Character creation is always a fun and exciting. The players are making three characters each. The reason for that is so that if somebody can't make it and they don't have healing, somebody will have a backup character that happens to be a druid or a cleric or what have you. Or we need a thief. Okay, I'll have my thief. The other characters will stay on their ship. Their ship is their base. I like this idea. As time goes on, they'll be able to upgrade the ship. They'll have something to spend their money on. I like that idea a great deal. We started off the first characters that went on the very first mission. There was a bishop, there was a cleric, there was a paladin. So I've got three religious characters already, and then there was a monk, and then one person could make the first session. Joel couldn't make it, but he is making a druid, I believe. A druid or a ranger. I can't remember. That's his main, I guess, technically the first character he wants to play. So we played with those four without Joel. They awoke on their ship. They were in the port of the city of Solus. And that's Solis, not Soulles. Solus. They had a meeting that day with the magistrate where they were supposed to go and find out what they were supposed to do. They had just recently served their commission, that what is going to allow them to work for the Church of the God King. On that day, it was a day that the dwarven traders were coming. So the idea is that dwarves are very, very powerful as far as their industry and as far as the things that they have. They are the only people that really know how to work metal anymore. They also have the only like they have a mountain in that nobody really knows where it is, that where they are able to actually mine the steel and the iron, and other metals as well, so they can create like these. So it's kind of Dark Sun-esque, if you will. Most of the weapons are going to be made out of bone or stone or anything. They're going to be used out of material that is not metal. It's going to be kind of a goal to get those things. Plus, the world itself after the shattering is super, super hot. Once again, kind of a nod to Dark Sun. I stole a few ideas from Dark Sun, meaning that like even if you were able to get a hold of a suit of chainmail or plate mail, like you wouldn't be able to wear it very long. You would be exhausted and you would be dehydrated and you would probably die of heat stroke if you wore it too long. So people are relatively low armed and low armored, and that's by design. I want to avoid a power creep situation where, like, yes, you might have an armor class of 14 or 15, but you instead of armor class of like, I think my dwarven fighter at the end of Craig's campaign had an armor class of like 28 because of all the different items that he had. So that being said, they knew that was the dwarven traders were coming, and they kind of were excited to see that. This massive dwarven dreadnought came into the bay. It was still parked, a good, half a mile offshore. They could see as like instead of like longboats or dinghies, it actually like deposited boats that were just maybe slightly smaller than their like schooner that they had that basically folded out. I mean, think of like basically like an aircraft carrier. That's immense size, showing up and just dwarfing all of the other boats that are in the harbor. These boats came in with the dwarves. The players went to go see the trading between like the dwarves, like basically trading small amounts of metal and metal implements, for these massive carts and barrels full of food, and which is, by design. I'm trying to set up the dwarves as being this like very, very like they kind of run the economy, if you will, because and they know they can. Also, the dwarves actually are walk around in full plate armor, and they're able to do that because their armor is enchanted to be cold. Like the players actually see like the air, the humidity in the air like is condensing around these dwarves in this armor that they have. It's called chill steel armor, and they're actually like leaving puddles of water as they walk around. And when they get close to one of the dwarves, they can just feel like it's nice and like it's actually like if you were in air conditioning, and that's something where people are like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing if you had that kind of armor, that kind of thing. I'm putting these little plants in there to get people excited about those things. So they went and watched that. They didn't attempt to interact with the dwarves at all. They were kind of intimidated by them. And then they went and spoke to the magistrate. They went to the houses of the sun, which is where like the mayor and everybody else who runs the city, not the archon. They went to their magistrate, a woman by the name of Kylene, and offered up three different missions. One of the missions was they needed to find out. They had heard rumors of like something like there's a village, a farming village to the south that is having rumors of disturbances, and they asked that somebody come and investigate them. There was a suggestion that there could possibly be a somebody saw some lights and some fires on the other side of the island, and they're worried that somebody has started a outpost basically that isn't them. So they want to have that investigated and see who's there. And the last one is that they had heard a rumor that a meteorite had fallen from the sky, a fallen chunk of heaven, as the magistrate said, had fallen to the earth and landed on the island. Usually these things, and this is something that's just a residual effect of the shattering, but this had happened, and it had rumored to have actually landed on the island. And because of the religious and divine value of that item, they want somebody to go out and try to find it. And the magistrate kind of hinted that that was like the thing that like she really wanted them to do, because of the fact that it would elevate her if she was able to have them reclaim it. So they said that's what we're going to do. But they said, where did it land on the island? She said she didn't know, but there is a mystic by the name of Kaz the Pale, who lives in the city, and you should go speak to him. And you need to probably give him some of the, there's an extract from a flower the blue lotus flower extract that will help him see visions and whatever. So they went to the section of town to try to see if they could purchase some. But when they went to the one person knew somebody who was an alchemist. They went and talked to her. She told them, "Wow, I had some, but I don't have anymore because somebody bought it all from me just like maybe 4 or 5 hours ago." And then that really made them go, okay, maybe somebody else is trying to track down Kaz the Pale. And so they were like, that's fine. And she said, if you want to come with me, we can go and we can go collect some more. I need somebody to protect me while I go collect it. Or you can go get it yourself. And they said, well, we're kind of in a hurry. So they went and they tried to track down Kaz the Pale. When they got to his home in the city, they saw that there was a couple of people that were like standing outside his house that totally looked out of place. And they were both armed, a man and a woman, and they approached and they had to say, oh, it's like, no, we're here to see, Kaz. And they're like, and then they said, well, he's sleeping. He can't be disturbed right now. And they're like, well, I should really check on him. And they're like, well, I really can't let you check on him. And then you can probably guess what happened eventually. Like they didn't just walk away. A brouhaha began. And actually what happened is that like they kind of tried to intimidate him. And the guy said, let me just go check and see how he's doing. Well, now in my dungeon master mind, what he was doing was, let me go inside and make sure that we've gotten all the information from Kaz the Pale, because they were there to do the exact same thing. And then maybe possibly either kill Kaz the Pale so they couldn't ask him, or B, kidnap him so they couldn't ask him as well. But as soon as he opened the door to the place, they rushed in. And they came in to this small house, basically like think wall to wall, like crammed housing in a big city. So they burst in, and a fight ensued. They made relative short work of the two that were in the main floor. Craig, the bishop, he ran up the stairs to go and see if he could find out what was happening. He got up there, and there was two women standing over Kaz. And who was lying on this like kind of like room full of cushions, and he looked completely. There was a strong smell of incense in the room, and and it looked like he was whispering in the ear of one of the women. The one person got up and attacked the bishop. He actually got knocked down. He nearly died actually. Very first session. I tend to let the dice fall where they may. I don't hold back. If you just have bad luck, well, that's bad luck, right? The players made pretty short work of the two that were downstairs. The third person, who had almost killed the bishop, came running down the stairs as well. They took care of her. They ran up the stairs and to see the fourth person jumping out the window and escaping. They, um, in a because of the fact that they attacked, the one actually nearly killed the bishop. The bishop decided, because the bishops are kind of like the trial lawyers of the world, the inquisitors, if you will. The one that actually had clubbed him over the head and nearly killed him, he right then and there like finished the job on that particular NPC. The other two they stabilized and woke up, and they basically interrogated them to ask what was going on. They found out that the woman that had run away, a woman by the name of Kellen, had hired them to basically be muscle, and because they wanted to talk to Kaz the Pale about where a relic was in the jungle that was around in this island. So now they realize that somebody has a head start and is looking after them. So they freed the two people that they said, okay, well, just don't let it happen again, kind of thing. They let them go, and they went to talk to Kaz the Pale, try to get the exact same information. After much prodding and some spell use, they were able to get the location on their map as to the presumed location of where the meteorite had fallen to the ground. So they immediately went back to their ship. They gave their captain, Captain Dax Walters. He's gonna be a fun NPC to run for them. He immediately they set sail, and he said it would take about a day to get to that spot in the island that they wanted to go to. And luckily, it's in like this little like what is it called, like a peninsula that so they'll be able to get pretty close to shore and be able to come on. But of course, when they got there was another ship already there. Da-da-da-da. So now they know they're in a race against time, trying to make sure that they're the ones that claim this particular item. So, yeah, so that was the first session. I mean, we would have played more and maybe gotten further into searching for the meteorite if we hadn't had character creation, but that was fine. Like I said, character creation is a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, we're going to have some fun stuff happen with this next one. I've made a wilderness map for it. Hexes, classic hexes. I've made that. So they will have to dive into the jungle and explore and look. I've got a wandering monster table that isn't exactly fair. I mean, they could very well run into things that are way too difficult for them. But this is the wilderness, and this is an area of the world that isn't exactly it doesn't like keep level limits or whatever for these things. So I think this will be fun. I hope that Joel does make a ranger or a druid. Having one of those along as they go into the jungle will be very, very helpful. So yeah, there we go. That is the first session for the old Grognards. Grognard session 1, I think I'll call that, and then maybe Young Pups session 1 will be for my son's group. And like I said, I don't know how much interest you're gonna have out of these things. I don't know how much you're gonna like it, but this really isn't for anybody but myself, and for the handful of people out there that'll watch this and want to keep track of what's going on. And my goal here is to, when I have a session, I will I'll try to remember everything that happened and share it with you here. So there you go. Thanks very much for taking a listen to this. Until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and that was The Shattered Shores. That's the name I gave it. The Shattered Shores, Grognard's Session 1. But until next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.